All right. Well, do we want to go ahead and just bust right into the banter
I'm
time?
ready to just bust this thing wide open.
All right. Well, this is Witty Banter. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and go first, if that's okay with you.
Please do, good sir.
So, do you remember a long time on the show before we had gone to Europe? We talked about that Gotham prequel series
Yes.
where Gordon was going to be the main character and all that.
Yes, still have kind of, don't know about it.
Well, in an unprecedented move, Netflix has secured the rights to the show from Warner Brothers. And this means that Netflix will exclusively be able to play the show after it airs on Fox. So basically what's going to happen is after the show comes out, the whole season, it's going to go directly to Netflix, and Netflix has the right to stream it.
Damn.
And once it's finished with Fox on actually airing, you'll be able to watch all the episodes on Netflix.
Do you think that they have like an exclusive thing where only Netflix, or do you think they'll have reruns probably on Fox and stuff too?
Oh, I'm sure Fox will be able to play it whenever they want, but it sounds like as far as being able to consume the show after it's debuted, Netflix went ahead and snatched it up.
I bet that that'll be the majority share of their viewership.
On Netflix? Mm-hmm. Yeah, more than likely.
That's just a guess, but it seems logical to me.
And we were already talking about how I was kind of on the fence about maybe getting rid of Netflix, but this is the kind of moves that these video streaming services need to have, where they have exclusive content to their platform.
Yeah,
and it seems like Netflix has really been diving into that endeavor.
Yeah, and Netflix is like, I don't know. I said before, I changed my mind because he was considering getting, Chase was considering getting a video store, membership?
I love video membership.
And just right away, I was just kind of threw it out the box. Like, dude, that's just an obsolete, system.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be buying into an obsolete system. And I used Netflix as kind of the reason why you shouldn't be doing that. But then I started thinking about it like, wait, does Netflix actually provide things that I really want, like on an overall basis? But yeah, like if they start doing stuff like this, I'm totally down to keep up with Netflix for sure.
It's a perfect way for us to see this show. The last thing I want to add was the deal that they made equals out to roughly $1.75 million per episode.
Per episode?
Yeah,
damn,
that's big, man.
I mean, for Netflix, I have no idea. It's probably just a penny in the bucket, but
yeah,
it's still a lot.
Still a lot of money getting thrown around.
We still like to comprehend those sizes of money.
Yeah, if I could have like a percentage of that. And when I mean percentage, I mean like 2 or 3.
Like an interest share of that.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, man.
Okay, so one of my little stories is that NASA has a 3D printer that is ready to put into orbit.
Okay.
And what the idea is this 3D printer was actually developed by this company called Made in Space, and it's a small company that's focused on like adapting 3D printing for manufacturing in space.
Sweet company name, by the way.
Yeah, Made in Space. And so essentially it's the size of like a microwave. The printer is.
Damn, that's it?
Yeah.
They've
and
gotten
it's
smaller.
It's a lot more of just a proof of concept because they're essentially just seeing that if they go into a zero-G environment, they will be able to not only accurately 3D print things, but also have like the sustainability that we have on Earth.
To even make sure that the machine can work in zero gravity and stuff.
Right. And then like the products, once the products are made, like will they be able to withstand pressure and stuff the way that they can withstand those same kind of pressures on Earth, you know? And so, yeah, it's more of a proof of concept thing, but the idea is it's working toward having like a man-made space station where we can just print out everything that we need up in space. So, like, if you're...
Oh, we wouldn't even need to bring it up there.
Right, yeah. And, like, I feel like that would just be kind of one small but very...
One small step for man.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Let's be cliche. But, yeah, it would be like one kind of small but, like, very vital step in trying to make life habitable outside of Earth.
Well, outside from that, I think 3D printing is the future of manufacturing.
Dope.
It's insane, dude.
It's
it
crazy.
Really is. You know that UT has just installed a 3D printer that any student can use?
No way.
Yeah, we can draft our own.
I would have no idea where to start.
Well, I got to take an AutoCAD class in high school, and once you kind of know your way around that program, it's pretty easy to create things and print them, man.
Okay.
Not that I can do that now, but
yeah, that's for the future.
Right. Well, Ballin, hopefully, I like hearing about NASA doing stuff because I feel like I haven't heard much from them in a while.
Yeah, especially like there was kind of like NASA got shut down, at that one point.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of weary trying to figure out one, just even how much of an organization they are anymore, and two, like what efforts they're continuing to make, especially with all these other like private space exploration efforts.
Well, I was gonna say, is this company private, made in space?
I don't know. It didn't say anything about its private versus public.
Because if it is, that's cool.
It's probably private. I'd say.
I'm down for more private companies going out there, and if our government's not going to take the initiative, then at least somebody is.
I think they're private, but I think they're working through NASA, which NASA is like an agent of the state.
Right.
I think. But yeah, I don't know. Just thought that was
Okay.
interesting.
Cool.
Bring it back around to you,
I'm gonna grab it over here.
Ba-da-boo.
All right, so I have a hunch that you probably picked this news item as well. It's a pretty big one, but I'm gonna talk about CVS.
Oh, okay. I think you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just discuss that in general.
So
Cool.
yeah, CVS has decided to change its name to CVS Health and stop selling all tobacco products.
Boom.
They're doing this in hopes that other major drugstores and retailers will follow their example, and they are willingly leaving $2 billion worth of tobacco sales on the table. And I think this is amazing.
I think that this is awesome.
The fact that they're just like, yeah, we can make this amount of money, but we don't care because
Yes.
we're about health.
I mean, they're like, according to the statistic I read, they're the U.S.'s second largest drug retailer.
They
like
are?
Drugstore in America.
Behind who, like Walgreens or something?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think they're second,
Okay.
whatever they are. But they have 7,700 stores. And so,
Damn.
yeah. And so when you start like adding that up and start being like, well, that's a lot less places that like used to sell tobacco products, and now those will not be available to people. It's just a step in the right direction, you know. Like, I personally believe that, like, I don't think that cigarettes are just inherently evil or anything, but I think that like there's very few instances where you can smoke cigarettes and it's like for a positive purpose. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like sometimes if you absolutely need it, maybe, but then like you could probably use something else and you know like still get the same kind
just
of
use
relaxing
something else,
feeling.
guys.
So I mean, and it kind of goes in line with like, have you seen all these commercials about like the truth commercials? It's like orange and they have the white dots that spell out truth, and they're essentially just showing statistics about like youth's ability to be able to overcome cigarettes, which like I think is cool. I think
Yeah.
it's a little cheesy.
No, I think it's brilliant, dude.
But I think that it's also, if you can make it like, oh, well, as a generation
Yeah, that's
of
the biggest
young
thing.
people, like as a generation, we can overcome cigarettes.
because
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing is like we could be the generation that ends smoking, and like every generation does have a name. From baby boomers, Generation X, Y, we're the millennials. If I like imagine being the fucking generation that
Yes.
kicked smoking.
That would be so, and it would be so worth it. It would be like one of those things that like you can never really take away from that generation, because that generation is teaching the generations after them, like, hey, look what we did. We like
Health
clearly
matters.
have like health conscious. But then you start wondering like, if we do that, how long will that last until another generation's like, hey man, we want to be cool and trendy and do cigarettes again.
I don't know.
It's like,
I don't know.
but yes, commemorate CVS on its willingness to sacrifice profits in the sake of health, which is like what their cornerstone is about.
Because not only are they leaving out this $2 billion in sales, they're also going to potentially lose 13% of its customers. Because what the article I read was saying,
Jeez.
because you know people might not just go in there just to buy cigarettes, but if they can't get cigarettes there anymore, they're just not going to do their shopping there. They're going to go to Walgreens, get their cigarettes, get their chips, and then leave. So by not like putting that out the window, they're not only losing profit, they're also losing customers. So yeah, just they're clearly making a statement. Instead of tobacco products, they're going to start selling tobacco quitting aids behind the counter, and they're going to have stations that evaluate customers' readiness to quit and their education as far as
awesome.
quitting.
That's sick.
Yeah, they're basically giving everyone the tools to quit and kick the habit, and I think that's great.
And I have a really simple quote from the CEO. His name's Larry Merlot.
That's a cool name.
It's a cool name. Yeah, cool name. And I just like the simplicity with which he's approaching this move. I mean, it seems kind of like this big, like when you apply it across 7,700 stores, you're like, oh my God, it's such a big deal, all
Yeah.
these numbers.
It
But
is a
then
big deal.
When you think about it in a simplistic form, the way that Larry Merlot states it is tobacco products have no place in a setting where healthcare is delivered.
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
that's, boom, hit
yeah.
the nail on the head.
I was reading the same sort of quote where it was just, it doesn't make sense for us to be a health store and sell these tobacco products.
Which
So,
is like the antithesis of health.
baller. Well, high five to CVS, and I'm interested to see how it's all going to end up playing out in the coming years.
For sure.
So since I sort of stole your thunder there, do you want to go ahead and jump into your last
Sure. Yeah, this
big
one will be a
thing.
little bit longer, I think.
Cool.
And I might need a little bit of your help to play into it.
Yeah, sure. Let's just bring it out.
So it talks about the main thing that I'm going to be talking about is there is a partnership between Samsung and Oculus that is developed.
Oh, dude, I'm so glad you talked about this.
Okay.
I almost brought this to the table.
Really? Okay,
yeah, let's do this.
So I went ahead and brought it to the
There you
table.
go.
I wasn't afraid. No inhibitions here. But
I'm still cowering in my desk. I don't know if I can handle
Can
this.
I handle that news story? Essentially the partnership between Oculus and Samsung has taken place, and Samsung is creating its own virtual reality headset. It's called Gear VR. And right now, Oculus, I feel like, is kind of based in gaming more so. Like, that's kind of where they see themselves being directed. But Samsung, I think, is giving them a different avenue to be able to broaden their customer base. And the way that they're doing it is they're showing people the ability of VR through using, essentially just plugging your phone. The phone that they're using is the Samsung Galaxy Note 4.
Yeah, and if I understand correctly, you're basically just putting the phone in front of your eyes.
Essentially you're just like, the phone is the brains and the display of what you're seeing, but you're able to interact with it in a VR setting.
Okay.
And so some people think like that it could be a little gimmicky, and that if it's forced upon people and it doesn't really bring about the right like response, it might even disincentivize people from getting VR in the future. But at the same time, apparently the Galaxy Note 4 has like really crisp resolution, and it's like a really pretty high quality piece of craftsmanship. And so they think that like the high quality that Samsung's bringing to the table, and then incorporating that in the Oculus software, they think that it could be like a really cool experience for people. And essentially the things that you can do are you can like go to simulated concert events and stuff, and you could be like looking around and
which
like
would be
seeing
so
other people.
cool.
Yeah, and like you could like be flying over like New York City buildings and stuff, and just be able to like look around and see just like crazy environments.
I mean,
and stuff.
I had a friend, my friend Jacob was telling me about just imagine if you could have some sort of Oculus camera down in the first row of a sports game, like basketball, and you got to put your Rift on
That'd
or
be
whatever
sick.
and watch the game as if you're first row.
Right.
How
yeah.
sick would that be?
Pretty dope. And like, this is kind of interesting because this is Oculus. While Oculus got bought out by Facebook for $2 billion, we know that, we've talked about it. But
yeah, if you're a fan, you're educated. You know that already.
We've talked about that on the show before, but this is like Oculus's first big partnership. This is like the first big like reaching across the aisle with another company and being like, we're going to work on this thing together, and just kind of hope that overall people are going to respond in a positive way. And so I was just going to maybe bring it to the table. Like, do you think that this is overall a good strategy for them to maybe release, something that's not the Rift? They're using Oculus software, but they're not using the Rift in this VR setup, this partnership that they're making. And two, the fact that they're not having it centered around games. It's not centered around like all these other things that we kind of consider Oculus to be associated with.
I think it's great, and for a couple reasons. One, I think it is good that it's not limiting itself to games.
Okay.
Because I think overall adoption of this sort of technology is going to take more than just the gaming community. Granted, that community's gotten pretty big, so I don't want to discount that community.
Of course, right.
But I also think the fact that it uses a phone is good for both parties. Because if whatever software is being developed that isn't games, and I know a couple game companies have already signed on and they're going to go ahead and develop and like bring some games to this one. It's like, okay, cool. You're going to go ahead and port, it's fine. But if it's got compelling software, that means it's going to sell Samsung phones. And then people who already have Samsung phones have a lower barrier of entry into hooking it up with whatever the rest of the gear is. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think VR is really exciting. And the fact that this is already busting through barriers and these the fact that a company as big and powerful as Samsung is taking virtual reality seriously.
Taking the initiative to go meet up with Oculus.
Yeah, and not only that, they're obviously going to want to see their investment like return, and so they're going to pour the resources into VR technologies and into applications for VR. And who knows what those are going to end up looking like 5 years from now, you know?
Right.
And so yeah, I think it's awesome, and I'm excited for it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's interesting because I don't know. I just think that the VR landscape is so open. Like, we kind of have a frame of reference with which we can kind of...
It's like a new frontier.
Yeah, it's like a pioneer standpoint thing that we are anticipating for the first time. Like, I don't think I can honestly say that I didn't anticipate the smartphone, you know, like coming about. But nice pour,
That
bro.
was a horrible pour.
That was an amateur pour for you,
Look,
those of
okay,
you at home.
got it. Fucked up, I know.
All right, but yeah, like, I don't know. I think that. Do you think that that VR is going in VR headsets? I mean, Samsung's coming out with this Gear VR, and the way that they're making it is they're trying to like advertise it as something where you're not going to be paying for much more than just like the price of your phone. Like,
Yeah.
essentially the VR, the Gear VR won't be very costly, and that's like one of the biggest reasons why they think it's a good idea for them to do it this way, because one of the biggest things that keeps people from this idea and from going into VR is the price.
Yeah, and I think exactly. I think that's brilliant because the only thing in my eyes that's going to be stopping VR from really catching on is that barrier to entry and those price points. And I don't want to see companies artificially making it cheaper to put it into people's households. Like, I want to get the best
Quality.
thing, that I can buy.
Right.
But if you can make it as cheap as possible, obviously that's going to be better. And if it's for only the price of phone, whether that means it's the subsidized price from your carrier, like $250, or the actual price of a phone, which is like $600, I still think the Oculus Rift, like, I would be willing to pay $400 for that, you know?
Yeah, I would too. I mean, that is worth $400 in my opinion.
Exactly. It's a total boutique item at this point where,
Yes.
but
It is a great boutique item.
yeah, it is. But I think what it offers, I think that price is totally justified. And, you know, like I said, Samsung bringing its resources to VR is only going to help VR. So
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, that was pretty much what I had to bring to the table. Kind of just what your thoughts on whether or not it's a good move for Oculus to kind of go this different route than kind of this organic, like, we're just going to build up our own infrastructure.
yeah,
kind of
I mean,
thing,
you have to wonder, Oculus is obviously going to benefit from having their software used and expanded. But if Samsung is kind of only using them to piggyback for a little while until they can, like, see what it's about and do their own and then actually compete with Oculus.
You kind of wonder if Oculus is going to be like the next Intel, where like Oculus is in every computer headset
As a platform in general. Hell, who knows, man?
Yeah, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, for the last little conversation peach here.
I need more beer.
Yeah, go ahead, pour it up, man. Get ready. Strap yourself in.
Always. It's game day, man.
It
I need
is.
more beer. Jeez.
So this happened about a week ago, but it's such a big news item in my opinion that I just wanted to bring it back anyway.
Okay.
But Amazon has bought Twitch TV for $970 million.
I knew you were going to bring this one up. For sure.
And as far as the facts and stuff I'm going to say out loud, I really don't have too much, but I just sort of want to talk about it with you.
For sure.
So real quick, what I want to lay out just for facts, Twitch TV, if you don't know what Twitch TV is, which you probably do if you're listening to this podcast, it's basically...
I did not for a long time until you explained it, so go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So it's basically you get an account on Twitch TV and you can stream yourself to their website playing video games. And it's just a live stream. It's as I'm playing Halo. You can hop on.
It's live?
Yeah, it's live.
Damn, I didn't know it was live. I thought you just recorded it and uploaded it.
Oh no, they have an upload system, but it's a pretty bad one from what I've heard. Their specialty is the streaming.
Really? Dude,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
So
You got to be on your game when you're like going
well, that's the
through
thing.
this
I was
stuff.
gonna say, as soon as I start getting my paychecks and Halo comes out, I'm getting Twitch TV and I'm streaming me playing Halo online because I'm going to bust heads on that game.
Right.
Anyway, so that's what Twitch TV is, right?
Okay.
So Twitch TV accounts for 1.8% of the United States' peak internet traffic. And that ranks 4th overall during peak internet hours. So it is the 4th highest visited website in peak hours in the United States, basically.
Damn.
It's huge.
That's quite the landmark.
And this is all gamers, dude.
Yeah, straight up.
So that includes 12 billion hours. I mean, not hours. 12 billion minutes watched per month on Twitch TV.
Okay.
Over 45 million unique viewers per month. 900,000 broadcasts per month. 6 million total videos per month. And the total minutes watched and broadcasts have doubled since 2012, where their unique viewers were 20 million. I'm going to go through this a little bit more. Twitch users watch on average 106 minutes of content per day.
Jesus.
68% of Twitch users have decreased watching TV to focus on their online gaming and entertainment. 58% of the 45 million unique monthly viewers spend more than 20 hours per week on Twitch. And yeah,
These stats are outrageous.
exactly. So for the conversation, Peach, the question I'm going to pose to you is, before this buyout by Amazon, it was actually rumored that Google was going to buy Twitch.
Yeah, I think that there was like a bunch of like a few different people that were considering, and Google was like a front runner, right? Yeah.
So is Twitch the perfect competitor for YouTube? And here's why I ask that. If Google would have had Twitch, that would have been just one more video service that would have been owned by Google, where you're going to go basically into Google for everything. And largely people, the general attitude is YouTube is a little unresponsive as far as customer support. You know, they've gotten so big to the point now where like Google isn't, it's hard for them to listen to every individual complaint and plea. And they're kind of, you know, like recently they force you to sign in to YouTube with your Google account, and they're trying to make YouTube this ubiquitous Google thing.
Okay.
And having Amazon, who is just this behemoth on its own,
Yes.
Throwing competition for online viewership at YouTube might be a good thing.
Totally.
And especially, it takes a lot of technology, a lot of money and resources to have enough servers to keep all of the content on YouTube, be able to run it as quick as they do. But Amazon also has the resources to do that as well. So they're able to set themselves up as a competitor.
Right.
And I mean, you view that as a good thing?
I think that if Google would have bought out Twitch, I think it would have been monopolistic in a way.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that Amazon did it was, one, interesting, because I haven't really heard of Amazon really getting their feelers into the gaming sphere outside of this venture. But I think that it's kind of like a clash of the titans. You know, it's like Google versus Amazon, this thing. And like Amazon is trying to establish themselves as this just entity which can be associated with anything. And so I think that the fact that they kind of grabbed this one little section of like extremely impressive statistics as far as this market that Twitch has created, and that they went ahead and like threw down for it, even though it's something that's not necessarily a part of their like current portfolio, is huge. And I think it's like really good, not only for competition's sake, just for the mere sake of competition, but I think it's good for Twitch because I think that you know, if Google is already experiencing this kind of like overwhelming overload of stimulus and input from people like not being satisfied with their services, this is kind of like, if that was just coupled in with that, Twitch might degrade. It might go on a downslope. And so Amazon has the ability to actually maybe like uphold those.
And
those
two more
values.
things I want to add is, I think it shows the validity of gaming culture, and it also shows how big and important it is that a big company like this pays attention to something as enormous, and you can't look over Twitch, you know? And so the fact that they've bought that, I think, really shows what a mainstream gaming is becoming. Maybe not exactly in the public mind, but in the actual what's going on as far as money and lucrativeness, it is definitely viable.
Well, okay, keep going.
Then my second thing, the one thing that does, like if I have any caveats as far as worrying goes, is Amazon has been buying up different services, even from the App Store. So there's the Comixology app, which was on the App Store, which is a place where you could go. It was a digital marketplace for comic books.
Okay.
And you would sign in, and basically all of Marvel's offerings or whatever comic book was on there, you could just buy right away, download, and read it. Well, then Amazon bought Comixology, and now you can no longer just buy comics straight off of it. You have to go to Amazon, buy it from Amazon, and then just read it through Comixology. And the reason they did that is because every little transaction that goes down within the App Store, Apple gets a cut of. So they wanted to remove the buying process from the App Store, put it all on Amazon. That way they got all of the cut.
Okay.
But what they did was they convoluted the system and they made it more complicated. And I just hope nothing of that sort. I hope, Twitch has a lot of great things going for it. And I don't want anything to be messed up by maybe Amazon's. I don't want their hands only to be on Twitch for the money. I want them to back it wholeheartedly.
You wanted them to bolster it
and better it. Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, the problems that you were citing, would you say that those were mostly app-based problems?
I mean, no, because the app worked fine, and then Amazon basically added this extra step that you had to go through. But
they added that extra step so that Apple wouldn't get that cut; they would get that cut. Right?
Exactly.
But that's for an app situation, right? Like that same situation might not necessarily happen through Twitch. If they just own Twitch, you would just go straight through Twitch, which is owned by Amazon, right?
Yeah, but I just hope that maybe you have to. And I don't know if they're going to do this, but what if instead you had to sign in through Amazon and you could only use Twitch if you were a Prime member or something like that? There are definitely like paywalls that they could put in front
and they
of
totally can, and they if they buy it, they have the ability to do that for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they wouldn't be pulling like gimmicky things like that.
And I really don't think they will.
Yeah, I kind of want to pose a question like, what do you think this means as far as Amazon's sights on the gaming industry?
Well, I can say that they have had a little venture into it just by the fact that you can pre-order video games on on Amazon.
Okay.
And they will show up on your doorstep the day that it releases.
Clutch.
It may not be a midnight release, like you can go and get your game at midnight from Best Buy,
but that's more
GameStop.
just delivery service kind of stuff,
Right.
right? Like that's not necessarily them like being interested in the game itself. Like that could be just a piece of cardboard, and as long as you'll pay for that service.
Well, I'm just saying they know how much money they can make off of video games, and they've made it easy to purchase video games. They've made it easy to sell games on it. They've made it easy to buy used and new game consoles on it. I mean, they support gaming as they would support any other process, but they've gone a little bit further, and I think this shows how they do view it as important, and they've gone further by allowing you to pre-order it and getting it same day and things like that.
Do you think that Amazon will become a player in video game development? Or even video game distribution?
Maybe distribution, but as far as development, at that point, they are creating content, and I see Amazon right now as a content distributor, not as a content provider.
Okay, so maybe not a content provider, but yes, as a content, like maybe like a publisher or distributor or something.
A publisher would be interesting. That would mean, maybe they potentially just buy studios and reap the reward.
They totally have the ability and the resources
I think
to do that.
nothing is impossible with Amazon right now, but I would say that would be a totally out of left field thing.
Okay.
It's not something I expect.
Okay. Interesting.
Possible. Okay. Well, that's all the news.
We're gonna have to halftime.